Our next regularly scheduled meeting is Tuesday, October 4th.
We have a
Location? Yes, sir.
I'd like to read something into the record, if I may.
What is it?
Just a letter asking some questions.
Well, just submit your letter and we'll be glad to respond.
I've submitted things before, sir, and I get no answers from your email.
Well, this is a legal letter, would you please?
You won't allow me to speak?
Go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Lennon and council, I'm here before you tonight with many unanswered questions. At the last council meeting, a citizen asked you to take action in regards to Councilman and President Pro Tem Frank Jerome. That same citizen stated his reasonable concerns as to why he asked the questions. He asked that you strip Mr. Jerome of his position of President Pro Tem of this council, and that he be censored. He asked for your thoughts and comments. Your answer to that citizen was to vilify him in the media and claim he had gone to the gutter, and you and your administration were not willing to go there. It's the first time I have ever heard that moral and ethical concerns were related to being in the gutter. I, as a citizen, am here now asking for answers to that citizen's request. Recently, another city councilman, Councilman Bunch, agreed to a pretrial diversion in a misdemeanor charge of public indecency. He claims it is not an admission of guilt, and the only reason he was taking the pretrial diversion was to save the taxpayer for the cost of the trial. I find that a ridiculous and unacceptable excuse. In my opinion, the reputation and representation of this city and its citizens should not have to suffer due to the actions of Mr. Bunch. Mr. Mayor, Council, this is not a question of loyalty to a colleague or a political supporter, but rather a question of whether Mr. Bunch's behavior reflects upon the citizens of this community in a negative way. Mayor Lennon, Councilman Bunch has made it clear he will not resign from the council himself. I ask you tonight to please consider asking Mr. Bunch to resign. It is obvious that Mr. Bunch's own actions put him in the situation he was in, a situation that an elected representative of this city should never be in. Each elected official should be more responsible to avoid these kind of incidents and hold themselves to a higher standard to avoid this kind of situation. I, nor any other, put either of these councilmen in the situations they find themselves in, and I have no control over their actions. They did this themselves and to themselves. I have heard inane comments about sour grapes and a political smear campaign. Mr. Lennon and Council, I want to make you aware that the elections were held and this administration has been in office for almost 10 months before your term. In the event Mr. Bunch resigns, the Republican Party chair would choose a replacement. I would think there is no political agenda here that would empower anyone. Stripping Mr. Jerome of his presidency of the City Council would be an ethical and moral decision that would quell some of the embarrassment his comments have caused this community. If you review the city-recorded video, you will notice Mr. Jerome does not refute the comments that he is accused of making, but instead tries to keep the citizen from speaking into the record, claiming it is not City Council business, it is inappropriate, and he wants to know what time he posted that statement on social media. So it is apparent he did in fact make the statement and it was not taken out of context. Mr. Jerome has made several comments on social media that were offensive and uncalled for and embarrassing to the citizens of this community, not to mention well below the standards one would expect of a city leader. But then it seems this administration thrives on intimidating citizens who speak up and are critical or feel differently. At the last City Council meeting, Mr. Lennon, you asked me if I had heard Councilman Miller's statement in regards to a question I asked. I stated that I had not, as I was out of the room meeting with another city official. You, sir, basically called me a liar and told me, no, you were here, in a disrespectful tone. If you review the video of that meeting, you will see I was not there, and my question was a respectful inquiry into what your plans were. In my opinion, you owe me a public apology for your treatment of me and my question. I, as well as every other taxpayer in this city, am a stockholder in this company called the City of Columbus. Even though you are the CEO as mayor, your job is to represent we the taxpayers and see to it our wishes are carried out within the law. It is not within your job description to be rude to us or intimidate or bully us when we are critical of your actions. You endorsed both of these officials in their elections, and your silence in this regard signifies your approval of their actions. Your statement in regards to Mr. Jones' letter was rude and portrays a lack of moral and ethical character to me. Yes, Mr. Lennox, the tone does start at the top. It starts with you. I am asking tonight that Mr. Jerome be stripped of his presidency of the City Council and be censured. I am asking you to ask Mr. Bunch to resign from the City Council. And lastly, I am asking that you make a public apology to me for your rudeness at the last City Council meeting.
Well, I will address what you're addressing to me. I'm not going to resign. I'm here. I'm here for three more years. I didn't do anything wrong. You have no idea about what took place behind the scenes. If you and a few other people in social media would just shut up and quit making up lies, then it'd be a lot better for everyone. Because you tell me about things that you don't know.
I think we've gone far enough. We're not going to have any more discussion, okay? So,
Mr. Mayor?
No, we're not going to have any more discussion. It's over. I would like to have a motion to adjourn.
I can't speak.
So
You can speak, but after the meeting.
So, second.
Thank you. Second, that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. If you have something you'd like to say, you're welcome to step forward.